Please state your name and address, please.
Steve Rogers, 2115 McCroskey Avenue. My name is Steve, and I am a highly effective measure of the growth of my students. How do you know I'm highly effective, you might ask? Well, Knox County was wise enough to hire me 5 years ago, and has chosen to keep me around since then. Not that Knox County has made me want to leave a few times, but let's see how I can compare to a standardized test like the SAT-10. I took the praxis tests and did quite well on them for my content areas, and I'm a highly qualified educator. So that's pretty comparable, right? It sort of means we're both usable nationwide. We pay every year for the honor of using the SAT-10, and Knox County pays me to teach a lot of students and doesn't pay me as well as pretty much all my colleagues in neighboring systems. I wonder if we underpay for the SAT-10 compared to the systems around us that are using it, even though not everyone's using it, we know that. That'd be a nice bit of parity. Anyway, the SAT-10 is used as a measure of a teacher's teaching ability. Bear in mind, that does not make it right. Some folks have this screwy notion that student achievement on this test is an accurate representation of a teacher's skills. And I get evaluated on my teaching ability by my principals and or some combo of master and mentor teachers. Fun fact, it's not also that great of a system. Don't get me wrong, I do want my supervisors and principals dropping into my room. I wish they weren't loaded down with so many other things so they could just casually come in and observe my teaching, give me some pointers, give me encouragement, or just stand there and marvel at the teaching energy that's going on in my classroom. But instead, I see them a few times a year checking things off their checklist, which I've been assured is not a checklist. And it's because they're seeing if I'm teaching the way that a company wants me to teach. This same company that says that I'm only 42% of a child's development and 49% is their home and community life. I love that stat, and I'm just going to keep dropping it until we get a better evaluation system. So my parallels have gotten a little off track, and let's be honest, it's because the SAT-10 doesn't hold up as an accurate measure of a teacher's teaching. Plenty of people have spoke and are going to speak about why it's unnecessary, how the STAR test is exponentially better, yada, yada, yada. But here's the underlying thing about the assessment of students that I'm hinting at, and that I've heard people that have a lot more clout than me hinting at. I don't know for sure that you actually trust me to assess my students. I get the impression that I am too dumb to know my students' abilities. Please allow me to counter-argue this subtextual inference that has been lorded over me and my fellow teachers, especially the K-2 crew. I know which of my French horn students is playing by ear and not reading notes. I know who keeps switching up the fingering between F and G. I know which of my trumpet players is going to have the hardest time adjusting to getting braces. I know which of my clarinets has the best tone in their upper register. I know also who has the worst tone in their upper register. I know which baritone has the highest range in general. I know which percussionist understands 8th and 16th note combinations the best. I know which flautist has fingerings down beyond a 95% mastery. You know what else I know? I know which kid isn't doing well right now because they're hungry. I know who hasn't had a home most of this semester. I know who's dealing with domestic violence, disrupting their home life. I know who is desperate for praise from anyone, so I have got to catch them doing something good before they act out just so they can get any attention, even if it's negative. I know who's got a helicopter mom who just needs to learn how to fail so they can work through the tough stuff in a healthy way. I know who has awesome parents and needs to be a friend for someone else so they get a good role model to imitate. I know what teachers to talk to get the rest of the story on a kid that I just don't get enough time with to catch everything. You know what else I know? There wasn't a bubble on a test for them to fill out to get that information. But what do I know? I'm just their teacher.